I got to the restaurant for my brother's engagement bash, and no one was there. Dialed him, and he simply stated, "The engagement happened yesterday. You probably missed it." So I retrieved a $100,000 check for his ultimate luxury car from my wallet and shredded it. Once my brother discovered what I'd done, sometimes life pushes you to a breaking point. What would you do if your own family pushed you so far, took so much, that your only option was to make a public, irreversible statement? I found out that night, when I held a check for $100,000, meant for my brother, and ripped it to shreds right in front of them. The silence was deafening. My name's Blake. I'm 33, a dentist. The oldest son. The reliable one. It was always a running joke in our family that I had a steady hand, even as a kid. I fixed toys, tightened screws, even glued cracked mugs back together. Somewhere along the way, fixing became my entire job description. Teeth, schedules, family crises. My brother, Josh, he was the star. Easy smile, big ideas, always a story that made people lean in. My parents? They'd say he had spark. Then they'd point to me and say, "Blake's practical." Practical meant dependable. And dependable meant you got used. I was the background guy. The one who showed up early, paid the bill just this once, and then got told I was overreacting if I dared to mention it. My practice is small, clean, bright, 5 operatories near the river. I like order. I like charts. I like knowing that when a patient says, "It hurts here," I can actually do something to help. Teeth don't lie. People do. That night, I put on my navy jacket and drove to Larkin Pine, the restaurant Josh had supposedly picked for his engagement party. I had to park 2 blocks away because the closer lot was packed. It was cold. I remember the crunch of my shoes on the sidewalk and how my breath fogged as I laughed at myself for being nervous. I wasn't even the one getting engaged, for crying out loud. Inside, the hostess checked her screen. Name, Blake. Party for Josh and Mia. She scrolled. Then she looked up, a little confused. We had a private room for them, yesterday. Nothing tonight. My thumb went numb against my phone. Yesterday? There was one tonight. An engagement party. She just shook her head, apologetic. The room suddenly felt louder. Plates, glasses, forks clattering. I stepped aside and called Josh. He picked up on the 3rd ring, voice bright, oblivious. "Blake. Hey, I'm at Larkin Pine. Where is everyone?" He chuckled, easy as ever. "Oh, the engagement was yesterday. I guess you missed it." Silence. The words hung in the air. I stared at a pyramid of lemons on the bar, my mind racing. "You moved it." "We didn't move anything," he said, like I was being dramatic. "It just, it worked better for people. You should have checked the chat." I did check the chat. Must have scrolled past it, then, he dismissed. "Anyway, don't be mad. We'll do something with you later." The hostess looked at me with that soft, pitying gaze people get when they see someone alone at a table set for 10. I just nodded, ended the call. I stood there, watching as someone else was seated, 2 champagne flutes placed on their table, followed by a laugh that felt entirely too loud. "Would you like a seat at the bar?" the hostess asked gently. "Actually," I said, my voice flat, almost unrecognizable. "I think I'm good." I walked back outside into the biting cold. My hands felt stupidly empty. Inside my jacket pocket, there was a card. And inside that card, something I'd spent weeks agonizing over, one long afternoon at the bank arranging. I just kept walking. Josh and I grew up in a small house. Thin walls, loud opinions. If we both brought home A's, my mom would say, "Josh, you're brilliant." Then turn to me and say, "Blake, you're consistent." Dad meant well, but his love language was advice you didn't ask for. "Son," he'd tell me, "stabilize first, then shine." Josh never stabilized. He just shined. And somehow, that was always fine. At 15, I worked weekends at a hardware store. Josh tried soccer, guitar, YouTube, networking, which mostly meant hanging out with older guys who let him drink beer. I saved for college. He saved for a weekend in Miami. Dentistry made sense to me. I liked that precision got you somewhere. I liked that there were steps, materials, outcomes. I took loans. I took notes. I took call shifts for older dentists who wanted their Saturdays back. I bought used textbooks and a second-hand curing light to practice. If there's a picture of me in school, it's me in a cramped simulation lab, rotary file in hand, smiling like a person who'd finally found the right room. Meanwhile, Josh needed a temporary boost. Then another. And another. It started small. $160 for a concert ticket. $200 for a course he swore would change his life. He'd say, "I'll pay you back Friday." Friday became next month. Next month became an apology with a grin. And I'd let it slide because that's what reliable brothers do. You tell yourself you're helping someone climb. When I opened my practice at 30, the ribbon cutting was on a gray Tuesday. I texted the address, the time, a photo of the new sign. Mom replied, "So proud of both my boys." Josh replied, "Can't get out of something." Rain check. Dad didn't reply at all. I thought it would sting more than it did. Patients came. My hygienist brought cupcakes. The landlord brought a plant. I filled cavities, signed forms, called labs, paid invoices, drank too much coffee. Stability. It was mine. Then Josh met Mia. She's nice. Kind eyes, a steady job, a way of standing like she's used to bracing for disappointment. Josh, suddenly, turned brilliant again. Weekend trips, photos by the water, long captions about building. He told me he was proposing. "Congratulations," I said. "You think I should go Cartier?" he asked. "Buy what you can afford," I told him dryly. He laughed like I was doing stand-up. Soon, money started hovering again, like a drone. "Venue deposits are crazy," Mom sighed on the phone. "Mia's parents can't do much." "You know how it is," Dad added. "Josh has momentum. Momentum needs support." They met my support. The numbers piled up like sticky notes. $1,200 to clear a credit card. $3,400 for new car tires. $500 because a hotel wanted payment at check-in, and Josh thought it was pay at checkout. "I'll get it back to you by the 10th, he'd say. The 10th would pass quietly. I'd resend the number, and he'd reply with a heart emoji. It looked stupid next to my mortgage. Then came the car. Josh had a photo of it on his phone, a silver luxury model, the kind he used to trace on magazine covers. "It's not even that much," he said. "I can handle the monthly. I just need the down payment to make the rate decent." "How much?" I asked, already dreading the answer. 800, 100. My breath hitched. 100 what? 1,000. He grinned, like he was announcing a baby. "Josh," I said, my voice steady, dangerously so. "That's not down payment money. That's buy a house money." He scoffed. "Come on. Mia deserves to be driven to our wedding in something nice. So rent a nice car for a day?" He rolled his eyes. "You don't get it. This is about the image." He actually said that. The image. That week, Mom called 3 times and texted 11. "You know your brother?" she'd say. "He dreams big." Dad called once. "Families invest in each other." When I didn't immediately agree, he added, "Don't be small about this, son." Small. The word sat in my gut like a swallowed coin. I kept working. Crowns, root canals, a chipped lateral on a teenager who lied about biting into a fork. At night, I'd lie on my couch and stare at the ceiling fan, having the same agonizing argument with myself. Asterisk, he's your brother, but this isn't reasonable. Be generous, but not blind. Help, but how much help counts as your whole spine? Asterisk, I booked the restaurant because I wanted to do one thing that looked like family on paper. A party I paid for without anyone handing me a spreadsheet. I wrote the date down twice. I called to confirm. I even picked the cheaper menu so no one would make a dig about me showing off. And I went to the bank. I printed a cashier's check for $100,000, made out to Josh. I put it in a plain card. Not because the car made sense, it didn't, but because I was tired of the scoreboard. I was tired of hearing myself described as practical, like it meant forgettable. I told myself if I gave him this, I'd clear the ledger. I'd never hear, "You never show up," again. I stood in my kitchen holding that card, thinking, this is insane. Then I slid it into my jacket pocket, telling myself I'd decide at the restaurant. If he was grateful, if the night felt like a real family night, I'd give it. If he was careless, I'd walk it back. I got my answer at the hostess stand. "Yesterday," he'd said. "I guess you missed it." I didn't miss it. They moved it and didn't tell me. Because it was easier that way. I drove home without music. I took the card out, held it, put it back. I didn't hear anything. Not yet. I set the jacket on a chair and washed my hands longer than necessary, like I could scrub off a residue. My phone lit up around midnight. A message from Mom. "Great night yesterday. Everyone loved the slideshow. You should have seen your brother's speech." Then a photo of Josh, holding a glass, head thrown back, happy. "No, we missed you." "No, where were you?" Just a family event that didn't require my presence, only my wallet. An hour later, Josh texted, "Can you send that thing we talked about by Friday? Dealer says the promo ends." A winking emoji. I put the phone face down and stared at the ceiling again. Something shifted. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a click, like a door in an old house finally setting in its frame. 2 days later, Mom sent another message. "Come by Sunday. We'll celebrate with just us." It read like an apology, but felt like scheduling. I went. I wanted to see if there was any version of this where I didn't lose myself entirely. I wore the same jacket, the card still inside. Not as a gift anymore, but as a question I could answer with my own 2 hands. The house smelled like roast chicken. Josh opened the door, grinning. There he is, the man of the hour. He said it like a joke. Mia hugged me softly. "We missed you," she whispered. It was the only honest sentence I'd heard all week. At the table, Dad raised a glass. "To family," he said, looking at Josh and Mia. Then he looked at me, with that small parental warning tucked in his eyes. "Play nice." We ate. Josh told the story of the proposal. Mom laughed at the part where the ring box wouldn't open. Dad chimed in about venue availability. Then the talk drifted, casual as a tide, to numbers. Josh, leaning in. "So, the dealer said if I put down 100, they'll lock the rate at." "Mom, Blake understands this stuff." "Dad, 800 is a strategic move. It's equity." Mia stared at her plate, silent. I set my fork down. The clink echoed slightly. "I'm not funding a car." No yelling. No preamble. Just a fact. Like diagnosing a cracked molar. Josh blinked. "What?" "I'm not paying for a car. I'm not paying for deposits. I'm not paying for penalties because you moved the day and didn't tell me." Mom's smile tightened. "Sweetie, we're just discussing options." Dad leaned back. "Don't make this adversarial." "I'm not," I said. "I'm making it clear." Josh laughed once, high and thin. "Dude, we talked about this." "No," I said. "You told me." "There's a difference." Mia touched Josh's sleeve. "Maybe we." Josh shook her off. "Blake, stop being so self-righteous. You can afford it. You're—" He gestured vaguely at me. "Comfortable." "I am," I said. "And I worked for that. I skipped vacations and slept in call rooms and did Sunday cleanings for cash patients and wrote checks when you said Friday. I'm not doing it anymore." Mom's voice dropped an octave, the one that means tears are loading. "After all we've done for you." "Like what?" It surprised me that it came out gentle. "Tell me what you've done that gives you a claim on my future." Dad's hand hit the table. "Not hard, but enough. Watch your tone." "I am watching it very carefully." Josh rolled his eyes. "This is ridiculous." "It's one check." I reached into my jacket, pulled out the card. I placed it on the table. Mom actually sighed, like relief was a person walking into the room. "I wrote this before the restaurant," I said. "I brought it there to decide. I decided in the parking lot." I opened the card, slid the cashier's check halfway out so everyone could see the zeros. Josh's face changed. He didn't look grateful. He looked entitled, like someone spotting a package with his name on it that had been delayed by weather. "Give it," he said, hand out. Mia whispered, "Josh." I tore the check, straight down the middle. The sound was small and loud at the same time. I tore it again, and again, slow enough that my own heart could keep up. "Blake," Mom gasped. Dad stared, stunned. Josh's chair scraped back. "What is wrong with you?" I breathed in and out slow. My hands didn't shake. "This isn't about revenge. This is about closure." He laughed, but it cracked. "Closure? You owe me." I looked at him the way I look at a patient who insists sugar doesn't cause decay. "I don't owe you cars. I don't owe you deposits. I don't owe you the version of me that pays to be invited to things." Mom's voice trembled. "Family helps." "Family includes me," I said. "It hasn't for a long time." No one spoke. Somewhere in the hallway, a clock clicked each second like it wanted to be counted. I stood. "Congratulations," I said to Mia. "I mean that." I turned to Josh. "Good luck." I turned to my parents. "I'll be in touch when I'm ready to be treated like a person." And I walked out. My phone started vibrating before I even got to the car. I let it buzz. I sat behind the wheel, stared at the steering column, and let my chest rise and fall until my hands were as steady as the day I held my first mirror and probe. I drove home with the radio off. The next morning, my phone showed 22 missed calls, 37 texts, and 3 voicemails marked urgent. The family group chat was a usual mix of guilt and fireworks. "Mom, we need to talk." Dad, your behavior was unacceptable. Josh, you embarrassed me in front of Mia. Mia, can we please speak privately? I didn't answer right away. Not to be dramatic, but to choose. I went to the office, unlocked, flipped lights, started autoclaves. I checked the schedule. 8 patients, a cracked molar, 2 periodic exams, 1 crown seat, 1 emergency swelling. Real problems with real steps. At 9:12, between patients, Josh called again. I stepped into my private office and answered. His first words, "You're out of your mind." "I'm working," I said. "You think tearing up a check makes you noble? You think it teaches me a lesson? You made Mom cry." "I didn't make anyone cry," I said. "People choose what to feel. You're seriously going to abandon your only brother over a car?" "I'm not abandoning you," I said. "I'm stepping out of the role where I fund your image." He scoffed. "You loved being the hero. Don't pretend you didn't." "I loved helping when it made sense," I countered. I looked at the clock. "I have a patient in 2 minutes." "Send another check," he said. "It's not that deep." I hung up. By noon, Mom arrived at the office. No text, no heads up. She came straight through the door during a lull, eyes glossy, coat clutched like a shield. "Blake," she said, too loud for the waiting room. "We're family." I glanced at my receptionist, who gave me a small, knowing, I can stall the next patient nod. I walked Mom back to the consult room. She didn't sit. "You humiliated us. You had an engagement party without me and told me after I arrived," I said. "That hurt. We thought the other day worked better for everyone." "Everyone is a slippery word," I said. She bristled. "You have always been so literal." "I'm a dentist," I said. "Literal is how people keep their teeth." She exhaled. "Your father says you're punishing Josh for being different." "I'm not punishing him. I'm declining to sponsor his lifestyle." Her chin lifted. "We helped you. We paid for." "You didn't pay for school," I said calmly. "I took loans. I worked. You gave me a bed and a light bill when I was a kid. That was parenting. This," I gestured between us, "is extortion with manners." Her mouth opened, closed. "You've changed. I've grown up." She stared at the floor. "What am I supposed to tell the family?" "That I love you," I said. "That I'll see you when we can be in the same room without someone presenting me with an invoice." I paused. "And that I'm happy for Josh and Mia, genuinely. But I'm not an ATM." She pressed her lips together so hard they went white. For a second, I saw past the drama to the tired woman underneath it. Then she put her coat back on like armor. "This is sad," she said. "You'll regret this." "I regret other things," I said. "This, I can live with." She left without saying goodbye to my receptionist. I went back to work. The next week, small things became symbols. I set my phone to do not disturb after 8 p.m. I unpinned the family chat. I took a run before work every other day. Nothing heroic, just 20 minutes without anyone's noise. I cooked actual meals instead of eating cereal standing over the sink. I repaired a wobbly shelf in my hallway and laughed, because of course I did. Josh tried other angles. "Think about the optics," he texted. "Think about Mia," he added later. Asterisk then fine, forget the car. "Can you at least cover the photographer? It's only 7K. Asterisk when silence didn't bend me. He sent wow. "Cool. Then you always thought you were better than me. Then I forgive you. Then we're done." I didn't respond to any of it. I sent Mia a single message. Asterisk I wish you well. "My choice isn't about you." Asterisk she replied with a heart, and, after a long pause, "I understand." Dad waited 10 days before he called. We spoke on a Thursday while I was parked outside a supplier's warehouse. "Son," he said, "this is a lot." "It doesn't have to be," I told him. "I raised you to be generous." "You raised me to be responsible," I said. "Generous came for me." He was quiet so long I thought the call dropped. "I don't like how you did it. I don't like being left out of a major event and then handed a bill." "You're twisting it," he said, but less certain. "I'm not. I'm finally saying it straight." He cleared his throat. "We need to find a middle ground." "The middle was 10 years ago," I said. "You told me to stabilize." "I did. Now I'm keeping what I stabilized." He exhaled. "Your mother can't sleep." "She'll be okay," I said. "She's tougher than she thinks." He didn't like that. "You sound different." "I am," I said. "I'm done buying a seat at my own family table." After we hung up, I sat there, the car off, and watched a forklift move pallets. The simple rhythm calmed me. Lift, pivot, set. A process. I respected processes. On Sunday, I didn't go to dinner. I got 3 photos of everyone around the table. 2 empty chairs photoshopped out. The captions were vague quotes about forgiveness. I turned off the screen and folded laundry instead. There's something deeply peaceful about stacking clean shirts when your brain used to spin like a fan. 2 weeks later, Mia called. I want to say something, she said. You don't have to respond. Okay. I didn't know about the restaurant change until the day of, she said. I told them to tell you. I'm sorry they didn't. I also told Josh the car was a terrible idea. Thank you, I said. I'm not asking you for anything, she added quickly. I just needed you to know I'm not blind. I appreciate it, I said. Truly. She hesitated. He's furious about the check. I know, I said. She stopped. It doesn't matter. It does, I said gently. He said you used it to control him, she whispered. But he was counting on it to control you. I sat with that for a moment. That's very honest, I said. I'm trying to be different than what I grew up with, she said. I want to be fair. I hope you both have a good life, I said. That's not sarcasm. I know, she said. Goodbye, Blake. After that, the pace of the messages slowed. People learned I wasn't answering. Pressure doesn't enjoy rooms with no echo. Instead, other sounds filled my days. The suction hiss, the ultrasonic. Scalar's whine, the small thank you when a patient stands up and realizes the pain is gone. I added a plant to the front desk. I replaced a flickering light. I scheduled the vacation I'd been postponing for 3 years, 3 days by a lake. No group chats, no invoices disguised as memories. The last flare came from Josh. A screenshot of a text from Dad that read, "We have to stand strong." Under it, Josh wrote, "You're dead to me." He sent it like a curse. It landed like a gift. I put the phone down and made chili. 2 months later, I met my parents for coffee in a neutral place. A small shop with a chalkboard menu and a bell that chimed when the door opened. I was early. They were late. That felt familiar, and somehow fine. Mom started with a sigh. Dad started with a throat clear. I started with, "I'll keep this simple." Mom's eyes were red, but not wet. Dad looked tired in a human way, instead of an annoyed way. "I love you," I said. "I'm not leaving the family. I'm leaving the role you wrote for me." Mom's mouth tensed. "We never." "You did," I said, still calm. "Maybe you didn't mean to write it, but it's the only part you ever handed me. I'm not playing it anymore." Dad rubbed a thumb over his coffee lid. "What does this look like?" "It looks like boundaries," I said. "No money, no surprise bills. If I choose to give a gift, it will be my choice. If you plan an event and you want me there, you tell me the actual date. If I say no to something, that's the answer." Mom swallowed. "And your brother?" "I wish him well," I said. "I won't finance him." They were both quiet. Outside, someone laughed. A dog barked. Mom spoke first. "Small. We thought you didn't need anything," she said. "You always handled things." "That's not a reason to handle me," I said. Dad nodded once, like it hurt. "We were proud of you," he said. "We didn't say it right." "You can start now," I said. And it wasn't a demand. It was an open door. He looked at me. "We are proud," he said. It wasn't a speech. It was a sentence. We left with no hug, because that felt like a performance. We left with something better, a draft of new rules. Back at the office, I hung a new photo in the hallway. Nothing big, just my team at lunch. Someone mid-laugh, a smear of salsa on a paper napkin. It looked like people who showed up for each other without a ledger. That night, I cooked the rest of the chili and watched the ceiling fan and felt that light, rare quiet you get when you finally tell the truth out loud and let it sit. The phone buzzed once, an appointment reminder for a patient, not a demand. I set it face down and rinsed the pot. I don't know what Josh will do. Maybe he'll figure it out. Maybe he won't. Mia sent one message on their wedding day, a photo of her bouquet and 2 words, "We did." I hearted it and put the phone away. Here's what I do know. I don't owe anyone a luxury car, an image, or an apology for not buying my way into rooms. I don't owe explanations for being steady. I don't owe the role of fixer anymore. I owe myself a life where my yes means yes and my no means no. I owe myself the kind of peace you feel when a patient says, "It doesn't hurt anymore," and you realize you've finally said that to your own life. I won't be dramatic about it. I won't do long speeches at holidays. I'll show up when dates are real. I'll bring a cake I actually want to eat. I'll pay my own share and nothing more, unless I choose to give. I'm not interested in revenge. I'm interested in closure and boundaries. In being the person who stabilizes then shines, not because someone told me to, but because I decided to. My name is Blake. I'm 33. I fix things for a living. I'm done letting people break me to give themselves a story. I'm building a quieter one of my own. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever felt trapped by a role your family put you in? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts.